Conference, Hola, Lesson 1, 28th of September 2025. Introduction. We want these conferences to be short but impactful, no more than 10 or 15 minutes. It's essential to do something for the planet. In these next 2 years, we are gambling with the future of our planet. A collective effort is necessary, and to that end, we intend to spread the information contained in these conferences to change the bleak future that looms. The information will be of interest to those who have had a near-death experience, or to those who feel that what we see is not all there is and want to explore the authentic reality that surrounds us. Dear brothers and sisters, I am Ola, a guardian angel of a certain family. I perform multiple functions in many places and at all times. First, I wanted to greet you. First, I want to emphasize that there is no hell. There are places that closely resemble it. We are talking about the lower astral plane. As a reminder, I will list the energetic bodies that make up a person. Later, the following will be necessary: physical body, astral body, mental body, Buddhist body, karmic body, atavistic body, and central energy body or soul. The deceased are in the lower astral plane because they choose to be there. They learn that they must evolve. One cannot suffer indefinitely. Being close to Earth is a place full of evil and negative feelings, generally very dark. The lower astral plane has 2 levels. One very close to Earth, where all human emotions are present, and another slightly higher level where they are less pronounced. Depending on the deceased's attachment to Earth, they will be in one or the other. If a deceased person wishes to ascend, they only need to desire to see the gateway and simply pass through it. To do so, they must be prepared and detached from Earth. Beyond these 2 levels of the lower astral plane, there are other interesting places important for the evolution of the deceased. At a glance, we can see 2 levels: a special level like an island in the middle of the lower astral plane, where recently deceased individuals gather as an intermediate step. There, they receive instructions for the subsequent steps. Human emotions are still felt, and those who remain attached to Earth gradually adapt to the new situation. Next come the levels of heaven. There are 6 levels. The light is more present, and the places for instruction are more numerous. Here, they learn everything necessary to manipulate their environment and also remember aspects of their past life and learn from their mistakes. The first level is the entry level. There is a lower density of the energy body that protects the soul. It still has human feelings, but they will gradually change them. After passing away, there is a complex network of buildings where they learn everything necessary for their new situation. Most of these buildings are related to learnings and training for interacting with living beings, while others are dedicated to communication. We will see the structures in later videos. On the second level, the buildings are different. There are several energy centers where people gradually release their previous bodies. The astral and etheric bodies begin to fade. They acquire new knowledge, and their ability to interact with living beings increases. Higher spiritual entities provide them with tools to accomplish this task and also subject them to greater control to prevent the deceased from repeating mistakes. They begin to remember everything they have done wrong to avoid making the same errors in the next reincarnation. They also begin to encounter the souls with whom they lived in their previous life. They start seeing each other, but not as much as they would like. At the third level, then beyond, The process is slower. Everything depends on evolution. If evolution proceeds as it should, the deceased will ascend to level 4, 5, and 6. The physical bodies gradually dissolve, becoming increasingly subtle. The atavistic and karmic bodies will merge, creating the new mental concepts that the deceased will need to acquire for the next reincarnation or for the new spiritual mission. Generally speaking, at the third level, learning will focus on eliminating past mistakes and achieving new goals to draw closer to the Father. At the fourth level, the process of eliminating the three energy bodies following the physical one has been completed. There is no human weakness left, only spiritual knowledge remains. One has become aware of the mistakes made and no longer sees them as something positive, but as something to be avoided. At the same time, relationships are being formed between the souls that have to meet in the next reincarnation so that the evolution is correct. In turn, there are no longer as many energy centers as in previous levels. Spiritual healing is better. The atavistic, Buddhist, and karmic bodies are already fused, and the soul relates to them perfectly. There is no longer a need for so many healing centers, nor is as much energetic additive as food necessary for survival. There are not as many factories as in previous levels, and encounters between souls that came together in previous lives and new souls are much more frequent. Life is lived in community. Conflicts have mostly disappeared, and the few that remain are being eliminated. There is now a certainty that the return to earth is not urgent, and there is no longer so much displeasure about it. Then, when the deceased has admitted their guilt, mistakes, and motivation for the new life, they move on to the next heaven. At the fifth level, the Father's light is very abundant. The subtle energy of the bodies is more delicate, and energy as nourishment is almost no longer needed. Intake is very small. Missions of the Father in the spiritual world begin, especially in the lower and astral plane. This is the most difficult part because they remember what they were like when they were alive. It serves as a lesson and reinforcement to avoid repeating past mistakes. The bodies are more subtle and they already feel happiness. The sensation is close to that of the garden. They are pleased to carry out missions for the Father and are eager to return to earth to fulfill their mission. Once everything is clear and they have accepted all the changes to be made in their lives, at this point they reincarnate. Those who have another plan designed for them by the Father, who no longer need to return to earth due to past mistakes, may have several options. The Father may tell them to become elevated spiritual beings to fulfill His order in this spiritual world and work as spiritual soldiers. These cases are not common because they require a high spiritual level and having completed the soul's evolution that the Father demands. Others are offered the opportunity to return to earth. Most, in this case, want to return because they know the suffering they caused and want to help those who suffered to improve their living conditions. They are usually spiritual messengers, have a high spiritual level, and are aware of what they have to do. The sixth level, the highest, is the garden. It is subdivided into several levels, but it could actually be divided mainly into two. Therefore, the upper subdivision could be considered level 7 of heaven. The transfer between one level and another depends on each individual and the task to be performed, whether on earth or in the spiritual world. Evolution in this case is a long process, and with this, lecture 1 ends. In the next lecture, we will explain the buildings and facilities of heaven.